The NBA playoffs are here. We are 1 hour away during this recording, 1 hour away from tip off from the very first game, Pacers Bucks. And in this podcast today, bright and early, 9 a.m. or nearly 10 a.m. in the morning, we will be predicting the winner of every single series in the playoffs, which I feel like was pretty half and half, which I never feel like that's normally the case because normally it's like obvious. Okay, the 1 seed's going to win, 2 seed's going to win. And then there's a couple 3 or 4 seed matchups where it's easy. No, this is a very hard. Like I changed my mind probably 6 or 7 times for like half the series just in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of series I'm honestly not confident in. But what was your main thinking about these predictions? Like,
So my main way of thinking, number one, was obviously like, how do these teams match up? Just from like a roster perspective, because I feel like you can look at the stats, you can look at like how these teams performed, but really the most important thing, because they're going to be playing a team 4 to 7 times, and that the most amount of times you play a single team in the regular season is 4 times, and you don't play them over the same like week or 2 weeks. So to me, my main way of thinking was trying to like remove a lot of the statistical regular season performance part of it and just really look at how the lineups matched up against each other, especially the guys that are going to be getting like 36 minutes a game.
you know what? A couple of days ago, because one of the big things when it comes to regular season matchups, something that always gets brought up is the 2000, I think it was 13 or 11 Bulls. I think it was the 2011 Bulls.
Are you talking about the year Derrick Rose won the MVP?
Well, that Derrick Rose did win MVP, but it was the year that the Bulls, I think, swept the Cavs. Not the Cavs. The Bulls swept the Heat in the regular season, and then they matched up in the playoffs, and then LeBron just absolutely dominated the Bulls.
Yeah.
So I got to thinking, like, how important is it? Like, how much does a regular season domination of a team going 3-1 against another team, or 4-0, or 4-1 with the new in-season tournament? How much does that actually matter? So I went back the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, any team that was at least 3-1 or 4-0 or 4-1 against the team the record was 13-10, I believe, in the last 3 to 4 years, which essentially means nothing because most of those wins honestly were the 1 and 2 seeds just dominating the 7 and 8 seeds during the regular season and then just doing the same thing. And then when it came to, you know what's funny though, the Mavericks last year, if you look at the regular season, lost the season series by a lot, whether it was a sweep or barely not a sweep, to the Timberwolves, to the Nuggets. No, they didn't play the Nuggets. To the Thunder, and then to the whoever they play in the first round, the Clippers. So it was all 3 of the series. They got dominated in the regular season, but that just, looking at my research, just had nothing to do with the playoffs. And also the only case, I didn't look at the 8 seeds, right? This is before the 8 seeds were final. The only case where this existed was, I believe the Knicks went 3-1 against the Pistons. So if you want to look at that and say, no. Actually, I think the Pistons were 3-1 against the Knicks.
Yeah, the Pistons were.
So that was the
3-1
only
against the
series where there was any kind of, regular season domination.
Yeah.
But you just can't take that into account. Or you can when it comes to like matchups, but not just not in general.
I'd be interested to see if the Mavericks, like if that was before they got PJ Washington and Gafford when they lost those games.
Yeah, most of the games probably were. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that the regular season matters to an extent, but it's also like that's kind of the beautiful thing about the playoffs is just who gets hot, and there's like I don't know what happened there.
Go ahead.
God damn. It's like who gets hot, and that's why you see like a Jimmy Butler led 8 seed go to the finals, and it's uncommon because typically like I feel like the NBA is one of those leagues where the team that performs the best in the regular season usually performs the best in the playoffs, or there's a congruence between the two. Like the best team usually wins the best out of 7 series.
Yeah, because there's way less randomness than any other sport.
Whereas like in baseball, like
Anything
one hitter could get hot and randomly the Diamondbacks are in the World Series, or obviously more than one hitter got hot for them to get there. But football's a 1-game elimination, But yeah, I saw something. Apparently, of the last 70, so of all the champions in NBA history, all 77 of them, 75 of them have been top 3 seeds in their respective conference.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Which, you go back far enough, you get to like the era where you only had like 4 playoff teams at one point.
Yeah, that's true.
When you go all the way back to like the 50s and the 60s. But I still thought that was really interesting. Like that means for 50 years of NBA history. More often than not, and pretty much all the time, a top 3 seed wins the finals.
Because you said what, 75 out of
75 out of 77. I think the 2 exceptions were like a 1960s Celtics team that was like a 4 seed or something like that.
yeah.
And then the 95 Rockets. And both those teams were defending champions from the year prior.
I feel like there's a lot of 3 seeds that win it then. Because in my head, like recently,
Yeah.
like the Warriors were a 3 seed, right? A couple
Yep.
years ago. Yeah. But I don't want to
Yeah.
waste any time. I
Yeah.
want to talk extensively about each series. So let's just go
Yeah.
ahead and start with the very first one that's starting today, which is the Pacers Bucks. And do you want to say our predictions first and then explain, or do you want to talk about it a little bit? I don't know if I could be swayed on this, but
I won't be swayed on mine either.
okay. Well, I have the Pacers in 6.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have?
I have the Bucks in 7.
Okay. So, Damian, we just got news a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, that Damian Lillard will be most likely returning. It won't be game 1. And if I had to guess, it probably won't be games 2 and 3, maybe game 3, but I don't think it'll be game 2. In my opinion, this is really the epitome of a series that is a overwhelming superstar versus a really solid team. A solid team that just made the Eastern Conference Finals last year that could have won at least a couple of those games, but in the last minute, even with the lead, they choked with just stupid turnovers. But overall, like, one thing I do like to see is how a team has adjusted throughout the season, and the Pacers were very bad through like 20, 30 games of this season. And in the way that they've bounced back has been Halliburton playing good. It's been Mathurin. Mathurin, they didn't have Benedict Mathurin at all in their last playoff run, which is just interesting. I don't think a lot of times I get frustrated watching him because sometimes he's just like a low IQ defender. Like, he has the skills. It's just, he can just fall asleep so much. But when he is hot, that is one of the best role-playing scorers we've like ever seen, dude. Like,
Yeah.
And I look at the Bucks perimeter defense this series, and I don't see anyone, even with Dame coming back, that's even less defense. I don't believe in, like, what their best perimeter defenders, Gary Trent Jr. maybe.
Maybe.
Like who else is even in contention?
Nobody.
Nobody.
They don't have hardly any guys that I look at as perimeter defenders, at least from their regular season, and go, yeah, that's a guy that I look at as a shutdown perimeter defender, or even like, I hate to say it, but even like a good one, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So winning a series without a good point of attack defender is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I just don't trust, with how fast paced the Pacers are, no pun intended, the pacing Pacers. That'd be a cool nickname, by the way.
That would be a cool nickname.
I'd have to
Yeah.
really think about it because I don't know. But
There's a way to phrase it better, but
yeah.
it's the idea is good. Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton should be able to exploit Brook Lopez and pick and rolls. That's my idea of thinking. I think there's no way you keep him on the court unless Tyrese Halliburton's doing this thing where he just doesn't shoot the ball throughout the entire game, which we've seen him do. And I feel like we've seen him do that in playoff games last year.
Yeah.
So I really think it's up to Halliburton. If he is putting on a show, then the Pacers should win this series. Like, in Halliburton's mind, he should be thinking we should win this series if he thinks he's an all-star guard.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not playing that way and you're solely relying on Pascal Siakam, and last year I looked at the Bucks versus Pacers series, Miles Turner was averaging 19 points on 43% from 3. Are you going to rely on that? Is that the go-to? Now, if Brook Lopez is playing drop coverage and Miles Turner fades on pick and rolls, or I guess pick and fades, and you're leaving him wide open, he should be 43% if they're all wide open shots, but that's just not really how it works. I don't know. What's your thinking with Bucks?
So my thinking with the Bucks, I totally agree with everything you said about the Pacers, by the way, because it was even some stuff I wrote down in my notes, like the Bucks, on paper are the much worse team outside of one guy, and I'll get to that in a second. My thinking with the Bucks is that we have never think about who a healthy Giannis has lost to in the playoffs in the last 6 years. 2019, he lost to the Raptors. 2020, he lost to the Miami Heat, so the 2 Eastern Conference champions. 2021, he won the championship. 2022, he was hurt. 2023, he was hurt. 2024, he was hurt.
No, 22 he wasn't hurt. He just lost to the Celtics. He was just the only good player on that team. Do you remember that?
22 and 22? Oh,
Yeah.
22, Middleton and yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Holiday was bad and Middleton was hurt.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Then 23, when they played, that's when they lost to the Heat in the first round. Giannis
he
was
missed
hurt.
a couple games, yeah. He
And then
didn't
in
play
24, he was also hurt. and then Dame was hurt in that series against the Pacers in the first round, right?
And Giannis didn't play at all. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's certainly a history of Giannis getting hurt in the playoffs, and if that's what you're going to use as your logic, I can totally understand that. My thing is I'm betting on Giannis being healthy, especially given the season he just had, and I would never bet against Giannis. He's one of those guys that I would never bet against in the playoffs if he's healthy, because really I was thinking back on it, and I'm like, who has he actually lost to in the playoffs when he's been healthy and he's been at this level of play, basically since his first MVP? And it's been the Eastern Conference champion, or he's been it's been the Eastern Conference champion, or he's been hurt, right?
Yeah.
I guess in that year he lost to the Celtics. Miami went to the finals, right? They beat the Celtics in 7. That was when they played Denver
23.
in 23.
Yeah.
But also like when
Wait, no. When he lost to the Celtics fully healthy, I was 22. So he lost. The Celtics made the finals that year.
no 22 was the year. Yeah, you're right. 22 was the year. So the Celtics also made the finals that year.
Yeah.
So not only was Chris Middleton hurt, but the Celtics made the final. So I guess that's what I'm saying. So the 3 times he's lost, it's been the Eastern Conference champion, and one time it was the NBA champion, and then the other 2 times he was injured, right? I just would not bet against Giannis. I know the Pacers are like can really expose the Bucks on defense, but who do they have to stop Giannis?
They have no one to stop.
Like
Giannis.
you could try to put Pascal on him and hope that Miles Turner is enough at the rim to like be a deterrent. But dude, Giannis is gonna average like damn near 40 in this series if he is, playing healthy, right? And I mean, we've seen a physical superstar out of the East match up with the Pacers in the 4-5 with a significantly worse team and beat them.
So that's
before.
the thing. Can Giannis be 2018 LeBron?
I mean, a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be his run. Now, do I believe that he's going to have that type of run? I don't think he's going to be quite to that level. I think 2018 LeBron was just a completely different animal. But I think he can have his equivalent of that. I was thinking about this. Dame coming back might help the Bucks, or it might hurt them.
It definitely could.
I think because you've talked about this before. Bobby Portis is the type of guy that you need the offense to like circulate around when he's in the game for him to be at his most effective, and that just doesn't happen with Damian Lillard. But since Dame's been hurt and he's been back from his suspension, the offense does kind of circulate around him in the non-Giannis minutes, and he's been putting up good numbers on decently efficient shooting. So.
And like the good news for the Bucks is the Pacers. Who is their backup big? I think it's Thomas Bryant. I could be wrong about that.
They might run Obi Toppin at center.
And if you do
run a
that, I'm
small
sorry.
lineup.
There's no. Okay, so no, you don't want to play to the Bucks game by playing big. I guess. Like maybe because your strength is the small ball, you want to play that. But like, there's no way that Giannis and the biggest X factor for the Bucks, in my opinion, might be Brook Lopez. If they run Obi Toppin at the 5 and Giannis has those 8 to 10 minutes in the game where he's not playing because he should be playing 38 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez, you need to go back to your Brooklyn days. Like, I'm sorry, like Obi Toppin should not be the guy. Like, you should see that and you should see food. Now, we haven't seen that from Brook Lopez in years. In fact, the only time I remember seeing it was he did do that against my Hawks. That was probably 4 years ago, though. Since then, I've not seen him do it.
Conference Finals?
Yeah. Where, like, he actually just took advantage of smaller bigs. But honestly, I'm kind of the opposite thinking of you, though. I think if the Bucks do win the series, they're set up very well to make a huge run.
Oh, I think so.
Maybe not the finals, but maybe the final. Like I think the more time you give Dame to heal, he will be better. Because even if he is available, we don't know how good he's going to be after 3 weeks of not playing basketball, after recovering from blood clots. You don't know how many tranquilizers he's been hit with. Like,
oh no, I have them making the conference finals.
Oh, you do?
Like not in my overall in my ESPN bracket. We're not talking about that today, but I have them making the conference finals. Because I think they'll have that type of run too if they win. I just don't see them like. When I say I don't see him having like a LeBron type 2018 run, I don't see him like going to the finals and like let's say he matches up against the Thunder.
Yeah.
Like I could see that going similarly to how LeBron in 2018 went, but I don't think they're gonna beat the Celtics this year.
Probably not, but yeah. Before we even get into those hypotheticals, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not too sure. I think so. Ben Shepherd. By the time this is out, we'll know if he's playing or not. But right now, I think he's a game time decision. I don't even think he's really that good. depth wise, the Pacers should be able to kill him. I don't know if they'll play Jarris Walker. He seems like pretty young for this kind of atmosphere. So will the Pacers run like an 8-man lineup if Ben Shepherd's out? Like maybe, but that's a really good 8-man. Like you have TJ McConnell, Toppin, and who's the other one off the bench? I think there's one other guy. I'm blanking right now though.
Well, doesn't Mathurin usually come off the bench?
Oh right, because Naismith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's Mathurin.
Yeah, and then they usually start Halliburton, Neesmith, Nemhard, Siakam, and Turner.
Yeah, I just think it's all up to Tyrese Halliburton. Like we know how he can play. I did see a stat. It was from a podcast. It might have been one of Kenny's podcasts, but it was like if Tyrese Halliburton, no, I think it was a deep three or something like that. If Tyrese Halliburton misses his first shot of the game, he is more likely to just like score under 20 points or like just not take as many shots in the whole game. If he makes the first one, then he's likely to score. When Tyrese Halliburton has 20 points, the Pacers are like 20-3 or something insane.
Damn.
Or I think maybe this was at a certain point because that's only 23 games out of the whole 82 game season. But
Yeah.
like pretty much they were really good if he has 20 points. If he doesn't have 20 points, they lose. So
Yeah, that's a crazy ratio.
and personally, this is like yes, Giannis can't be stopped, but this is a great matchup for Halliburton.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I would just rather bet on Giannis because like exactly what you said. When he misses his first shot, he's less likely to shoot. And it's like Tyrese is one of those guys that is kind of weird. I feel like he's a coach's dream, but he's frustrating to watch as a fan because he's never gonna like, or he's hardly ever gonna like shoot you out of a game,
Yeah.
right? But as a fan, you wish he would take more of the reins offensively because he clearly has the talent to do so, and he looks to facilitate a lot. But when it comes down to like the clutch, you would much rather see him try to be aggressive and score, even if he misses, right? Like I feel like you will live with Tyrese Halliburton, missing shots and shooting you out of game at the end of a game, right?
Yeah, as long as it's not that stupid step back three he takes. I don't know. Like personally, he takes some stupid threes. I think he can get to the hole if he wants, but he just
No, he does.
like you want to be that threat from three, but sometimes it's just dragging it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the Bucks roster last year. Yes, Giannis was hurt, but honestly, that roster was not as set up. I don't think like that roster last year was more talented. They had guys like Beverly and Malik Beasley, but for some reason, I look at this year's Bucks team and I'm like, you know what? These pieces kind of fit Giannis better. Like we have Torian Prince, we have AJ Green's been pretty good. We have something about Kevin Porter Jr. He's either going to be really bad or really good. I hope he's
Yeah.
really good for the sake of the Bucks.
I mean, those are the types of guys that I don't want to say want on your team in the playoffs, but you kind of do because it's like, I mean, if we're a 5th seed, why not have a guy on our team that can just like randomly go off or randomly not, right? Because we need that. We need that random explosion to win games against these better teams.
I also think Kevin Porter Jr. is similar to James Harden, and we'll talk about Harden later. But like, if he locks in, he's a good defender. It's just for some reason he feels the need to take possessions off defensively.
He just has the, I think, the star mentality a little bit,
which can be a very bad thing. But
I feel like I don't know.
But if there's ever a time to have this mentality, it's when Dame's out.
But yeah, and he has the confidence too, and that comes along with it, and that's absolutely what you want.
Because he might be a guy who doesn't start the game, but he might play 25, 30 minutes if he's hot.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. If we see Pat Connaughton get any minutes, I don't know.
But I mean, part of the thing for the Bucks, I hadn't even thought about this until now, and it doesn't change my opinion. But Doc Rivers might coach them out of this series.
Oh yeah, no. The Pacers have. I think Pacers fans don't even like Rick Carlisle that much. But
It's still Rick
Doc
Carlisle.
Rivers. Yeah, Rick Carlisle has the experience, and so does Doc Rivers. But Doc Rivers has a track record where I could see maybe the
Yeah.
Bucks going up and then blowing it.
Yeah.
because that's what seems to always happen.
I just hope for Giannis' sake it doesn't happen because that's not how I want Giannis to be known.
Yeah. All right, I had Pacers in 6. You had Bucks in 7.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and go to the next series. Next series, it is the Nuggets versus Clippers, and this was a series I vividly remember having the Nuggets as my winner last night.
And that changed?
And I'm going Clippers. I think I'll have the Clippers in. I think it might come down to a game 7. I think Jokic might lose back-to-back years at a game 7. I know it's in Denver. I have the Clippers. Who do you have?
I have the Nuggets, but I also have the Nuggets in 7 because I don't even have anyone written down for this. I'm going to be honest with you because last night I was like going back and forth so much that I just left it blank and waited till this morning to like figure it out because, dude, it's so close.
It seriously is.
This is, in my opinion, going to be the best first round series, and it might be one of the best first round series we've ever seen.
I will say if it's a fast series, I think then it goes to the Nuggets. Like, because for some reason I think the longer it goes, the more time you give Ty Lue to adjust. Look, the main reason I picked the Clippers is because they are so much more versatile in what they can do. They have so many different lineups, so many different kinds of players that they can run. For some reason, I look at the Nuggets, and I was telling you this last night. The Nuggets might have the best starting five in the West. Not might. I actually think, in my opinion, the Nuggets have the best starting five. The problem is once the depth piece comes in, like, not only is it not versatile, like, it's not good. Like, we have who's been playing a lot? Jalen Pickett's been playing a lot recently. Who's like he's all right. Russell Westbrook, he's a great player. But we know what he has done in the playoffs. Like, he's had a couple good series, don't get me wrong, but in general, you kind of expect him to drop.
Yeah.
Maybe some people don't, but that's how I feel. And then their third piece, Peyton Watson, do we know if he'll stay on the court? If he's having a bad shooting series, we've seen him.
I mean, yeah, it's the same boat as like a Jared Vanderbilt. It's if he can't produce offensively, you might see him get played off the court.
But it's like, can he get played off the court? Because they don't have anyone to replace him. DeAndre Jordan. If DeAndre Jordan touches the floor, the Clippers might win in 4.
That's nasty.
So I
mean,
I understand that the Nuggets are good. They had the tenure. They won the championship. Their starting five is essentially the same from 2 years ago. Outside of, instead of KCP, it's Christian Brown. And while Christian Brown might be just as good of a player, like, technically,
It's a different type of player.
it's a different type of player. You want that kind of point of attack defender. Like, that was what was valuable. And now that's not. And you look at the Clippers, they have Bogdan off the bench. They have Ben Simmons. They have Derek Jones Jr. They have a good big. But even they just have so much that they can do, and it's so many different kind of play styles. When you look at the Nuggets, it's just Jokic, and Jokic is like the best player in the world on the best starting five in the world. But just defensively, like, we had that discussion about the MVP, how bad the Nuggets are. I'm thinking about that. And I'm like, yes, I want to pick the best player in the world, and I did last night. But defensively, there's no reason James Harden shouldn't eat, because if what I said is right, in my opinion, I still think, even with the advanced stats, Jokic is not a good defender. James Harden should be able to take advantage of this. Now you go.
Yeah. Yes, theoretically, but we've also seen James Harden have situations where he defends himself.
You're not wrong there.
You know, so here's my logic for Nuggets in 7, and I think it's an extremely close series. I think the Clippers match up with them very well. I think Zubac is one of the best, if not the best, center matchup for Jokic, at least like in making things difficult and uncomfortable for him because of how strong he is and because of how physical he plays.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to give Jokic any possessions off. Jokic is going to have to fight on offense, and he's going to have to fight on defense. I feel like Jamal Murray is an underrated defender when it comes to guarding James Harden. Now, is he a great point of attack defender, like, in terms of being in that upper tier of guys? No, but he's still a solid point of attack defender, and I think that's likely who you see on James Harden, and I think you see someone like Aaron Gordon probably on Kawhi. I thought about, maybe they put Christian Brown on him, but I just don't think that's the matchup you want to draw. I still think he's a little bit, like, young and will get, like, blown by at times, and I think Aaron Gordon is just going to be able to be physical with Kawhi and, again, do what Zubac is doing to Jokic.
Yeah.
I think it's an extremely close series. I think Aaron Gordon shooting threes is going to be like Aaron Gordon and MPJ being able to, like, knock down their threes is going to be super important in this series.
Right.
I think Russ coming off the bench and having, like, efficient games is going to be really important, really, like, leading the second unit. And both of us have it in 7, so I don't think any of us are in disagreement about it going the distance.
No. Yeah.
Here's my thing. If you are an opposing team, it's game 7, you've played a whole series, number one, you don't want to go play a game at 4,500 feet above sea level, especially when you're a coastal team. I know people say Denver, the elevation doesn't affect them, but it definitely does. The elevation is definitely, like, an impact. In game 7 in Denver, like, you might see the Clippers be fatigued a little bit.
You might see that, but did Denver have the home court advantage game 7 last year?
I mean, yeah, but the Timberwolves were younger.
That's true.
And here's my other thing, too. You got to remember who playoff Jamal Murray is.
I mean, yeah.
You got to remember who that dude is. Like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, the Clippers match up well with Jamal. Like, you put Chris Dunn on him. You could put, like, more length on him. It's not going to matter. It's never mattered in the past. He's one of those guys, like, you put him in that it doesn't matter category. And, yeah, Zubac is going to make things difficult for Jokic, but it's still Jokic. Like, at the end of the day, the Nuggets have the best player on the floor, and they might have the third best player too, when it comes right down to it in terms of playoff performance. We'll see what Harden does, but you've got to me that's the X factor. Like Kawhi is going to do what he's going to do, Jokic is going to do what he's going to do. The Clippers match up really well with them. Who is going to perform better between James Harden and Jamal Murray? And honestly, I'm putting my money on Jamal Murray.
The
Given
only
what
reason
I've seen.
I would say maybe James Harden is because, and yes, maybe I'd put my money on Jamal Murray. But James Harden has been playing consistently and playing great these last couple of weeks. Jamal Murray hasn't played that much these last couple of weeks, where it's like maybe that's not a big deal,
Yeah.
but maybe it is.
Look.
Also, another thing,
I've seen it now. I don't care. I mean, I get it. Like you can look at how they've been playing. James Harden was averaging 36 going into the playoffs one time and did the same thing he's always done, right? And I mean, I like James Harden. I'm not one of those James Harden haters. But like, yeah, he does have a history of choking in the playoffs or playing down in the playoffs. And Jamal Murray has not done that since the turn of the decade.
yeah.
So, you know,
You're not wrong. One thing, though, that really swayed me, Clippers, is my idea of thinking, again, with versatility. I think versatility and coaching will be the reason the Clippers will win the series. So let's say Zubac has to come off the court, and let's just say Ben Simmons, like, he's been playing the 5 this season. What if he's just not cutting it?
yeah.
If it's the second half and Kawhi's not in foul trouble, you can play Kawhi at the 5, and I don't think it'd be a bad idea. I think you could put Kawhi on Jokic. Now, make sure, because you don't want Kawhi getting into foul trouble or anything. So it's a very specific scenario. But Kawhi's a strong dude.
Yeah.
And yes, most centers are strong, and Jokic still handles them his way, with ease. But
It's not a bad idea, but here's the problem, Corby. The Nuggets are a huge team. Their starting lineup is probably going to be Jamal Murray, who's 6'3", right? Decently average point guard size. Christian Brown, who's like 6'6", 6'7". Aaron Gordon, or MPJ, who's like 6'9", 6'10". Aaron Gordon, who's like 6'8" and big, and then Jokic. So if you put Kawhi at the 5 and run a small lineup, then Norman Powell has to guard one of like probably Aaron Gordon or MPJ or Christian Brown.
I mean, I was even thinking about, well, you could do James Harden, Dunn,
Yeah.
Powell. Yeah, I guess Derek Jones Jr. at the
So
4.
you're not putting James Harden on Jamal Murray because you want Chris Dunn on him.
Right.
So
you
then
put James Harden and Christian Brown.
probably put James Harden on Christian Brown.
Or MPJ. Like,
And I'm sorry, James Harden is getting beat on like 3 backdoor cuts in a row, and then they're switching that up.
I think with James Harden, like, I don't think you look at his playoff failures and you say it's because of defense. I think when playoff time comes, I see James Harden locking in. It's just like offensively, he's always been inconsistent. And
It's not because of defense, but James Harden has never been known for his defense. He's a solid
No, he
defender.
never has.
He's a solid defender, but it's not something you like look to his game in the playoffs and expect out of him, right? Like to me, I've never, I guess, paid too much attention to how he's performing in that aspect of the game because that's not how I expect him to impact the game.
Well, he hasn't been a good impact on that, but like he's not some sort of like,
Massive liability.
yeah, you're not just looking to switch onto James Harden. Like James Harden's more of like, yeah, you will find him sleeping on cuts. So maybe
I mean, you're not. I don't know.
I don't think so.
There was a few times the Warriors played the Rockets where Curry was hunting Harden.
But do you think Jamal Murray hunts Harden, really?
I think Jamal Murray doesn't need to hunt anybody. When he's on, like he is in the playoffs,
I understand he has a track record, but I don't feel confident
Corby,
betting on a guy just because he's this
Corby.
playoff.
He's not just a playoff riser. He has the most significant like gap between his playoff points per game and efficiency and his regular season points per game and efficiency in NBA history. He goes from being like a borderline all-star to like an all-NBA player statistically in the playoffs. And he's done this over multiple seasons. I get you don't want to necessarily bet on it, but I wouldn't bet against it. Like personally.
All you're telling me is he's due.
What is this gambling mentality?
That's not even gambling.
There's no do factor.
There is. Like, you can't be that good. No one guy can be the most efficient player of all time.
So LeBron is due for a career-ending injury.
No, it's like too late. Like, if he was.
Oh, okay.
You know what's funny? I always said that Jokic was due for an injury, and it never happened. So I guess
God.
Jokic is just the anomaly.
That would
He's
suck.
not-
That would suck though if that happened at Game 1 today.
Oh, that'd be terrible. Any injury, because I want to see both these teams fully healthy.
That's
I don't know.
inevitably there's going to be an injury in the playoffs that's just going to ruin a series.
But also, you want to hype up playoff Jamal Murray? They got playoff Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm putting him on the same level as Jokic.
Yeah.
Like Kawhi in the playoffs is to me in that same like untouchable level when he's on. And the way he looked against the Warriors in that last game of the regular season, dude, that was terrifying. That was actually like terrifying to watch.
That dude did not
He had
miss.
30 points on 12 for 16 at the start of like the fourth quarter, at some point in the fourth quarter.
That's insane. Well, honestly, like we can move on to the next series. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
just want to end it with saying, playoff Bogdan is a real thing in a bad way. He could potentially be unplayable.
That was the one guy I looked at too. I don't know, because like they're gonna attack him the way the Warriors did. So
Yeah.
if he's not hitting his shots, he might be unplayable. And my other thing too, like Ben Simmons certainly is a good bench player, but we have also seen how Ben Simmons gets treated in the playoffs, and the playoffs are a different animal than the regular season. And so I think it's possible that Ben Simmons becomes unplayable to a degree.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but
You're not wrong. Yeah, we'll see. The Clippers have a lot of guys who are either they'll probably be really impactful
yeah.
or really not.
When Jalen Pickett just starts intentionally fouling Ben Simmons, it's a bad look.
Ben Simmons, honestly though, should not be playing that fourth quarter. Like maybe the end of the third, and then you sit him because he's not
Yeah.
ideal. Like you have the option. I think that's what's nice, and that's why I'm picking him. You have the option, but it's not something. You should
Ideally,
rely on.
he's like spelling Zubac and giving him time to rest before the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So
Next game is going to be the Pistons and the Knicks. This is an interesting series to me because a lot of people are going with the Pistons because the Pistons beat them 3-1 in the regular season. And, like we were talking about before, regular season doesn't really matter a lot. I've got the Knicks in 6.
I got the Knicks in 5.
All right.
Yeah.
So
So
you
we're
just-
not going to
yeah.
disagree, but it's just talent wise, the Knicks got him.
It-
Coaching wise,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a toss up because like as
Yeah.
much as Tom Thibodeau gets slandered, and like I do think if they lose the series, Tom Thibodeau is fired.
Mm-hmm.
He is a guy with a lot of experience, and JB Bickerstaff is a great coach. Like he's done a lot of good things for the Pistons, but that's in the regular season. We're talking about the playoffs, and honestly, the Knicks have been running this whole 5-man lineup all season. They'll just do the same thing. They're already used to it. The Pistons shortening their rotation, they're not used to that. Do you want to rely that much on it's Asar Thompson getting 32, 33 minutes? Because to be honest, he's a great player. He has a lot of potential, but playoff wise, he might be one of those guys who, if you can't shoot that well,
Yeah.
they're just going to leave you open. And because you'd rather that than Cade Cunningham getting any kind of look.
Yeah. It's like, to me, it just speaks for itself as you look down the board where you're like, okay, number 1 for both teams, Jalen Brunson and Cade. It's a toss up. Number 2, Karl Anthony Towns and Malik Beasley, like, is the second offensive option. And then you go like Mikal Bridges, Tobias Harris. So
Maybe Durant. Yeah.
the problem with the Pistons is that they're a really good all-around team, but they're a one-man offensive army. They really don't have anyone else other than like Cade and maybe Malik Beasley who is going to like create their own shot and go get a bucket on a possession that isn't, like, I mean, number 1, Cade's going to be the center of every possession. Everything's going to be predicated around him either scoring the ball or driving and kicking to a shooter.
better be.
So everything's going to be so reliant on him. And the Knicks have 3 guys that they start that could all match up with Cade and match up with him well between Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby. Obviously, they're going to try to hunt Brunson for Cade because that's the ideal matchup for him. And I think that is food for Cade.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, I think the Pistons do take a couple games just because they are so physical and they are so scrappy, and we've seen the Knicks struggle to like produce offensively at times, which is odd given their roster.
Yeah.
But there are times where they'll just go cold.
They will. I don't personally believe that this Pistons defense. I just look at Jalen Duren. I've always thought about this throughout his career. He's just not a good pick and roll defender. I don't think they have a lot of good defenders actually at all. Like they're a great team defense, but how much is this team defense going to matter against the star power of Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns? OG's been amazing offensively as of recently. Josh Hart, yes, during the regular season, this dude does not like shoot threes. We've seen it in the playoffs. Come playoff time, he will shoot that thing and somehow, because he's so open, shoot 40%.
Yeah.
And then who's their last one? Mikal Bridges. Yeah, we'll see how he plays. But just it's overall starting 5. Like depth only matters so much. And like obviously, like I just preached versatility with the Clippers. I don't think there's much versatility with the Pistons. It's just that they have more
Yeah.
depth.
They really are. I mean, and personally, this is, I guess, maybe my hot take, even if it is that. I think Cade's going to be the best player in the series.
Not crazy.
And I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be close.
I think it's good
but-
because Brunson won't need to be the best player.
Yeah.
Because we've seen Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about playoff riser, Jalen Brunson is just as much of a playoff riser as Jamal Murray.
No.
He averaged like 33 last year.
He's not
per
as
game.
much. He's not as much of a playoff riser. He certainly elevates his game in the playoffs, but when you pair efficiency with scoring, like Jalen Brunson scores more points on lower efficiency. Jamal Murray scores more points on higher efficiency in the playoffs.
I don't think you can compare the two. You look at when he was on the Dallas Mavericks
Mm-hmm.
without Luka Doncic. This man Brunson was killing. Now
No,
you
dude.
add Luka back after they were up like 2-1. Now Brunson's he's gonna just not be as like I know Jamal Murray's efficient, but he doesn't have as like he has a lot of pressure. Don't get me wrong, Jamal Murray. But when you have
Yeah.
Jokic on your team, it eases it up that much.
Look, I mean, I get it, and Brunson is great, and I'm not taking anything away from Brunson, and we don't need to get too into this. I just think Jamal Murray, in terms
You think
of
he's on
being
a whole nother level?
in terms of being a playoff riser, like, would you throw Jalen Brunson on that Jimmy Butler level of being a playoff riser?
No, but
Because I think Jamal Murray is there.
but Jimmy's higher. Like Jimmy like actually leads his team to the finals multiple times. You can't
Yeah,
say
but
that.
also like Jamal Murray. I mean, I get what you're saying about Jokic easing things up, but Jamal Murray has led the team in a lot of games that they've won over the years in the playoffs, right? That series when they came back down 3-1 against Utah, that was Jamal Murray. The series against the Lakers last year, that was Jamal Murray. Even the year they went to the finals and won the finals, there were several games in that playoff run that they don't win if Jamal Murray isn't essentially being the number one option for the team. Because, and you've noted this before, when it gets to the fourth quarter, Jamal Murray is actually the one with the ball in his hands a lot of the time, and it's not Jokic. And sure, there's that dynamic of like, well, if Giannis is, allowing Chris Middleton to take over in the fourth quarter, does that mean Giannis is Robin? No. Giannis is still the best player on the team. But I do think it's still like is important to note that when it comes down to the clutch time buckets, they're looking to Jamal Murray before they look to Jokic a lot of the time.
Yeah, but I don't want to discredit Jamal Murray at all. But I think one underrated skill that Jokic has is he is the best. He might be the best screen setter in the NBA. Like I know Jamal Murray does have clutch moments where he creates it himself. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of times like that pick and roll, what makes it so nasty is Jokic's screening.
He's up there. I would say I like Sabonis as a screener.
And I wouldn't be mad at that. They're neck and neck. But like
yeah.
he's one of the best screeners. I think if you give Jamal Murray or not Jamal Murray, if you give Jalen Brunson that, I just think he might.
Oh, yeah, if
like
you-
him being a teammate with Jokic would elevate his game so much more
If
than
you
ever.
put Jalen Brunson on a team with Jokic, they might win a champion, or like probably would win a championship.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you go like literal production, I mean, yeah, Jamal Murray might be one of the greatest playoff risers ever. But
I just mean like Jalen Brunson is already like. I guess I'm looking at it this way: like Jalen Brunson is already that dude, right? Like you kind of already know that. So he comes out and he puts up these numbers in the playoffs. Yeah, he's a playoff riser, but it's like he's still like it catches you maybe a little off guard, but like Jamal Murray does that, and people are like it's insane. It's insane how much better he looks in the not just how much better he plays, but how much better he looks in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
just the eye test, he looks a lot better.
I guess we're arguing semantics. But
Yeah, this is like we're not even talking about. I mean, we're borderline talking about this.
because
series, but-
personally, I don't understand how you can pick the Pistons. I don't think there should be even much of a discussion when it just comes to strictly talent. Like I understand if there was this
Yeah.
huge coaching gap, there was this huge depth, and yeah, there is depth, but it's like
it's because people are looking at that whole like Pistons can't beat the top teams, and they're just kind of. I'm sorry, the Pistons aren't a top team.
no.
Like, I don't think the Knicks are going to have a problem with the Pistons. Now, get further down the line, they might have some problems. But I don't know. I mean, this team is very talented, this Knicks team. And people underrate that a lot. Like,
Yeah. If it goes 7, I'm disappointed. Even if the Knicks win, if it goes 7, I'm disappointed in them.
yeah, that's not a
Maybe
good,
even
it's not a good look.
6. Like I don't know. Like there's so much more talent when you strictly talk about talent. This Knicks team has it. They have like so many different. They have 4 different 20-point per game scorers. Like maybe they're not 20-point per games.
But they're right there.
Yeah, like they on different like McCall was a 20-point per game guy on the Nets. OG on the Raptors.
I mean, I think McCall is still like an 18-point per game guy.
Oh yeah, he's still
on the Knicks.
and
Like,
recently
it's-
OG has actually been hitting 20.
Yeah. Hey man, get Anne Hathaway courtside, and the Knicks might win it in 4.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah.
All right, next series.
Next series,
It is the Lakers.
Lakers and Timberwolves.
So I'm gonna guess your prediction because so far you have gotten you have picked strictly like star power,
Mm-hmm.
and I've strictly picked versatility.
Interesting.
I'm
I
sticking
hadn't
with my
noticed
gut.
that.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with that. I have the Timberwolves in 7,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 6. I don't know which one yet, but I do have the Timberwolves winning.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have?
I have the Lakers in
Of
7.
course, yeah. So we have the exact same,
Yeah.
or the exact opposite ideologies, which means the exact same winners. But
Yeah.
you know what? You go first for this one.
Yeah. So this was another one that I went back and forth on a lot. I think Randall's an exceptional matchup against LeBron. I think he's one of the best defenders you could put on LeBron, especially with LeBron being a little bit older, a little bit slower, you know.
Yeah.
And the Timberwolves have more depth, you know. My thing is like I don't believe Rudy Gobert is gonna take advantage of the lack of paint presence. I think it'll be interesting to see if Anthony Edwards does. Like if his 3-point shooting numbers, like the amount he's taking per game, go down,
Yeah.
just to take advantage of like that lack of paint defense from the Lakers. I just can't bet against Luka and LeBron again in a playoffs. I just can't. I can't because I already saw Luka like tear up this same Timberwolves team last year, and it's like you have no one new to put on him. You could put Anthony Edwards on him, but they didn't do that last year. They put McDaniels on him, and he kind of fried him. So to me, it's going to be a really close series. Luka Doncic is not losing in the first round this year. I know he's a defensive liability. I know all that. He's just I don't know how the Timberwolves are going to like stop him in a different way than they tried to last year.
And maybe they don't stop him. I can't ignore the amount of exploitation that the Timberwolves could do to this Lakers team. Like as much as yes, Luka and LeBron is the best duo in the league probably, just off the top of my head. However, we had concerns about this trade when the deadline happened, or not about the Luka trade, but just about overall just the team roster.
Right, the team
They
fit.
don't have the difference between the Dallas Mavericks last year and the Lakers this year is they had some solid bigs.
Oh yeah.
And Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, which, I mean, Lively wasn't great last night. We have to talk about that. But just the way that Luka made Derek Lively look was just insane. And Lively, just as a player, is insane defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, like, let's just say Gobert can't take advantage of the fact that they're playing small ball.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think, because that's one big exploit that I think that they could use so that the Timberwolves could beat the Lakers. But they don't have any like amazing perimeter defenders. I'm a guy who really believes that you have to have a good point of attack defender in order to win a playoff series. Maybe not to win a playoff, but like we've seen every champion has a great point of attack defender.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't agree with the playoff series mentality. Like I think you can win a playoff series without a good point of attack defender. I mean, we saw like
But can you do it against Anthony Edwards, who by the way this season has been like amazing playmaking
dude,
wise.
don't get me wrong. I love Anthony Edwards, and I would love to see the Timberwolves win. I'm picking the Lakers, but I'm rooting for the Timberwolves, right? It's just like it's Luka Doncic, man.
Yeah, but guess who's due? Julius Randle has been the worst playoff dropper we've ever
Dude, I
seen,
hope
dude.
so. I hope Julius Randle finally has a good playoffs, man.
For his own sake too. He's about to
Dude,
get paid.
I know,
Like,
dude. Hopefully by Minnesota, because I want to see him stay there.
I do.
But
Even though Luka torched Jaden McDaniels, there's something about it that says I still know that Jaden McDaniels is a great defender, and just maybe it'll be different.
he is a great he is a great defender, Corby, but it's Luka Doncic.
It is Luka Doncic.
You can put whoever you want on him, and he's gonna torch them if he's on. Like, I don't know. And my other thing too is like my X factor in the series really is Austin Reeves, because that dude's been hooping, like really hooping. Like I noticed this in the comments of our All-Star draft video. We really missed him.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure.
Like
I realized that.
That was bad.
Also, people were hating on your Derek Lively pick.
I don't care, man.
I mean,
like, fine, I get he doesn't have the numbers and whatever, but I really like Derek Lively.
I'll remember who was like really left though, because I picked Chet pretty early because I was like, there aren't that many amazing.
I mean,
bigs.
I could have picked what, like Miles Turner.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I'd rather Lively then.
Yeah, like what other center was I gonna pick?
Especially because who's your point guard?
My point guard was Jamal Murray.
He could throw a couple lobs.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at that.
But yeah,
I also think just again with versatility, the Lakers, yes, they had the versatility of either going big with Jackson Hayes or going small with Dorian Finney-Smith at the 5, but they can't. I just don't see a way that you're playing against Rudy Gobert and Jared Vanderbilt gets minutes. Like you're giving the
Yeah.
easiest guy to roam off of out of
Yeah.
any guy on your roster. I understand he's your best defender, but it's like now you're allowing the Timberwolves' best defender to be on the court. So is that worth it? I don't think it is. I also think,
I'm thinking about how they could do that, right?
and hold on, while you think about that,
Yeah.
JJ Redick's been a great coach,
Mm-hmm.
but we just saw Chris Finch make the Western Conference Finals, and JJ Redick has never been a coach of a playoff team.
That's true. Yeah.
So I just personally do, just like you want to give the benefit of the doubt to, and rightfully so, LeBron James and Luka Doncic, that duo is amazing, and the fact that I'm even picking against them could just be Lakers hate bias, because I don't like the Lakers.
Yeah, I had to like temper that a little bit because I really, yeah.
But and I'm not saying Chris Finch is some coach of the year, but we've seen him do it. We've seen him make great adjustments. He swept the Phoenix Suns when no one imagined that. Even if you thought the Wolves would have beat the Suns last year, a sweep is insane.
Yeah.
Beating the Nuggets was even more insane. Like we've seen this guy make the adjustments he's needed to do. He won that game 6, the Wolves, or Chris Finch. It was like by 60 last year against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Or 50 or something like that. Like something
Oh
insane.
yeah, they put belt to ass in that game.
So maybe that because it is very close for me. Trust me, I've been going back and forth because for the Lakers, all you need to say is it's Luka Doncic and LeBron James.
Yeah.
But just something about like that little bit of a coaching advantage just kind of put me over
I mean,
the edge.
don't get me wrong. That's why I got to go in a 7 because I do really feel like it could go either way.
Also, another guy, playoff riser, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Then again, I'd even say Luka Doncic is still
Luka
a
Doncic is a
riser.
playoff riser, and you could
LeBron.
LeBron. So like it's like, but unfortunately, there's a guy on Minnesota who's not a playoff riser, and that is Julius
Big
Randle.
playoff dropper.
And
I'd say Austin Reeves is a playoff riser, but at the same time, his rising last year
Yeah.
wasn't as good as his regular season this year.
yeah.
Like
I feel like even if he just has the regular season he had in the playoffs this year, that'll be pretty damn good.
sure.
Like I don't think people realize sometimes like most people's numbers go down in the playoffs. So even if you just maintain your production, you're still technically rising above the average, right?
you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Vanderbilt?
I'm just trying to think about how it could work because I actually think they're gonna want him on the floor, to compete with because Minnesota's a scrappy team, right? You want that guy who's gonna get on the floor and die for loose balls. He can't shoot threes, but the thing about Gobert roaming off him is you can have Vanderbilt go do the Draymond Green thing and go set screens for Luka and LeBron, and then they're just gonna be able to attack Gobert or get a wide open 3 or set a screen for Reeves, and then Gobert has to either step up or those guys are getting open 3s.
Yes, but
right?
that's not ideal because it works so much better for Stephen Curry. Because as much as
You're right.
like Curry doesn't get wide open from those. Like he gets open for Stephen Curry standards.
Yeah.
But when you're LeBron and Luka, also they're not the best pull up. I mean, they are good pull up 3-point shooters, but that's not if Luka and LeBron's on the court with how smart they are. If they're taking a pull up 3, that's a win for you.
Right. So my thing about that is Steph doesn't get open because a lot of the time guys fight so hard over the screens that they play his hip and he'll drive to the basket and then draw a double team and kick, which you could easily see a guy like Luka or LeBron doing.
I don't think you could do that with Vanderbilt. I don't like. I just feel
You
like it's
you
so
don't
easy
feel
to
like-
ignore him.
But I get ignore him, but once he sets the screen and switches the defense, then Gobert has to step up, right? Or you're just giving an open shot to one of the Lakers' best players.
Right. But once I'm trying to think. So Vanderbilt setting the screen. Once Gobert steps up, what does Vanderbilt do after that? Roll?
Yeah.
I don't like.
And
I
I guess
seriously,
you don't
I'm
have to
so low on Vanderbilt.
But
like
here's my thing. He doesn't even have to, the roller doesn't matter because now you have Rudy Gobert on one of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, or Austin Reeves. That's food. I'm sorry. He's not a good perimeter defender. For as good as he is as a paint defender, he's not a good perimeter defender at all. He will get absolutely cooked.
I just don't think. But also, Draymond Green's a good screen setter. Like I think you're kind of forgetting about that.
No,
Like,
no. Draymond Green's a really good screen setter, but who's to say Jared Vanderbilt isn't?
I'm not giving him the benefit. I'm not going. I don't watch that many Jared Vanderbilt minutes where if he's setting a pick and roll, I'm not noticing how good the screen is. I'm not giving him the benefit because screen setting isn't like just this given thing that if you're 6'9", 6'10", huge, that you're gonna be good at setting screens.
Oh yeah.
And there's a reason that he's known as this big offensive liability. I feel like if he was a better screen setter, he wouldn't have this notion.
Goddamn Bjorn needs to get better at setting screens, dude. Like sometimes when he'll lay a shoulder into you, it'll be like, yeah, damn, that was a good screen. I'm proud of you.
Oh, no,
like
dude, I've been hit with some tough screens. It's not
his
consistent.
problem is his screens. He's not quick on his feet with his screens. Like
Yeah.
if you move him one way a little bit, you can get around him pretty easily.
It's a little predictable sometimes.
He doesn't get close. He doesn't get close enough to you sometimes when he screens.
Yeah. So going back to my point, it's not given just because you're.
No, it's not. It's not given at all. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think it could definitely work in with the offensive firepower the Lakers already have. That opens up a huge gap in the Timberwolves defense because, like, yes, Rudy Gobert's presence is invaluable as a paint defender. That's why he's never been played off the court because he's still so valuable as like a rebounder and a defender in the paint and a lob threat.
Yeah.
But the Lakers are a perimeter-oriented team, and that does not. We've seen Rudy Gobert struggle against perimeter-oriented teams before.
But also, like, let's take it back to the game winner that Luka had over Gobert last year.
Yeah.
Gobert still plays better defense than a lot of bigs on the perimeter. Like that Luka 3, like as much as he made it, yeah, but it was a tough shot. Also, we saw against the Phoenix Suns.
But it's the NBA. It's like there's a difference between a tough shot and a contested shot. Like a genuinely contested shot and a tough shot in the NBA. Most shots in the NBA are tough shots.
Yeah.
These guys are tough shot makers. I get what you're saying. Like Gobert was there, but it's like you have to have your hand in the guy's face or like up at the ball
or he doesn't see you.
That's the thing too. Even contesting the ball, a lot of the times in the NBA, if you don't touch the ball and affect the ball or affect the shooting motion in some way, the guy is probably going to make it anyway because these guys are so good at shooting that really they don't like I don't think that stuff affects them if they can get their shot off. So unless you can get an actual hand in their face and block their field of vision, which even then, like they might still make it just because of muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's like your contest has to legitimately be up near the body so you affect the shooting motion. It can't be to the ball.
That's what I was thinking. I don't want to talk about the Hawks game, just to be honest. Like I'm still a little pissed off.
I still haven't asked you about it today.
No.
I don't know if you noticed.
Haywood Highsmith would take some threes. Oh, and by the way, don't even get me started on Kyle Anderson. But Haywood Highsmith would take some threes where I'm like, okay, he's not a good 3-point shooter, and that was such like an awkward catch. We're getting a late contest that should be off, and then that's just in as if like he's practiced that a million times, and he's not even known as a good 3-point shooter. Like the amount of threes and tough threes and bad catches these guys like learn to make is like insane.
Yeah,
like it was pissing me off. I just wanted to say I don't want to talk about that game.
No, totally fine.
I could go on a 20-minute tangent, but
Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, so pretty much. By the way, I'm honestly, besides maybe, I kind of do just want to see the Clippers win. But besides that, I'm rooting for all your picks. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
I am, because even though I'm a LeBron, or I'm a Lakers hater, I do want to see LeBron and Luka more than Anthony Edwards and Julius
That's
Randle.
just a tough one for me because, like, Luka, yes. And I guess LeBron, it's equal for me, I guess. And I want to see Julius Randle have a good playoff series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can move on to the next one.
Moving on to the next one. That's going to be... Oh, that's the first game tomorrow. Grizzlies Thunder.
Grizzlies Thunder, which is kind of funny that that's so soon, or
Yeah.
like soon, because
I mean, it makes sense.
they just finished up 12 hours ago. You'd think that but because the Grizzlies were the last team to get in, they'd be the last game. Like
you
you
would
give
think
them that much
actually.
rest.
You would think that.
That's like a day and a half of rest.
Especially because the other teams are on the East Coast. Well, I guess the Cavs aren't really on the East Coast. They're probably in the same time zone as the Thunder. Or
Yeah, but still, it's like a genuine or general thing that the East team does play first.
you would think, yeah, it's a little bit odd on the scheduling.
But,
I like that we're talking about this because this is going to be probably the most extended conversation we have about this series.
Yeah.
Thunder in 4.
Sweep.
Yeah.
I think Jaws is good enough where it goes 5. I think it'll be interesting to see how good Chet really is. Like, I actually think, even though, like, obviously this isn't their toughest matchup, can Chet truly take advantage of a slow-footed big like Edie? Like, even though this, it's going to be a short series, I will be enjoying watching this series.
Oh, yeah. So when I say Thunder in 4, I think it's going to be a good 4.
Yeah.
But it's still Thunder in 4.
But they're still winning all 4, especially this
Like-
game 1. I'd put a lot of money
It
on.
might be bad. Corby, it might be really bad. I don't know what the spread is going to be, but I might bet the Thunder.
Yeah. Overall, I just think the Grizzlies don't. The Jalen Wells injury just really sucks. And I feel like it really does hurt them because they don't have that many good forwards. Like they have good hypothetical forwards. Like okay, Salty Aldama is a good forward, but like you'd think they have GG Jackson, but he's not actually playing.
Yeah.
Do you think they have John Conchar? He's not actually good or
I'm
playing.
sorry.
Like,
How much of a difference was Jalen Wells making in this series?
I mean, he was.
Were they
He
winning?
was a
Was it
39.
was it going to 6? Like, I'm sorry.
They're missing a 39% shooter who's a decent
he's
defender.
he's a really good player. There's just a big gap between these teams, and like, I guess okay. So looking at it, yeah, maybe Jalen Wells would make a difference. I might have it going 5 if Jalen Wells was playing,
Personally,
because right now you look at who they have to defend Shea. Nobody. Who you gonna put on him? Bane,
Bane might just punch him.
Kennard. Yeah,
That would hurt.
his arm might not even get to him
Oh,
because
that's
Shea,
true.
Shea is a lanky bastard, so he might just like hold him at arm's length.
They're really opposite builds of each other.
They really are.
One's just like huge biceps. The other one, but like short arms. The
Yeah.
other one's lanky, but that dude.
One's like the
could barely
shooter
lift
build you
anything.
make in like 2K when you're 14 and you don't care how it looks.
That's so funny you say that, dude. Derek made a 280-pound, 6'5" sharpshooter.
Yeah, actually,
Yes, because
Dude,
back
why?
then in the 2Ks it was just called like sharpshooter or
Yeah.
shot creator. Just 200
280-pound sharpshooter.
shooting guard. Yes,
That's awesome.
the worst. Oh my
Dude,
gosh,
that's great.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, no,
just,
they have no one to guard Shea.
yeah, and I think Edie will be unplayable. They don't actually have, but they don't have another big outside of Edie because Clark.
I guess you could
unfortunately,
run
is out.
Jaron Jackson at the 5.
Oh yeah, that would be it. Yeah,
But,
I'm
like,
forgetting that.
Even then, like I feel like that's the biggest potential matchup issue. Like
But then if they do that, honestly, that's when you play Hartenstein a bunch. And
Yeah.
you get him into foul trouble.
yeah, dude, and that was the other thing too. I didn't realize this about the Thunder. I was looking at their like opponent shooting splits, so how well they guard opponents.
Yeah.
And we know they're like a really good like 3-point defense, right? They're also one of the best defenses like 9 feet and in the NBA too.
And it makes sense.
Like they're
'cause
like top 5, and it's crazy. So they're keeping teams from shooting threes well, and they're keeping teams from like getting layups.
can a team win 4 games from mid ranges? Like
I know.
that's really the.
I know one team that, and I'm not betting on them to do it, but I know one team that can and historically does.
Which one?
Warriors.
Yeah.
No, but they're not.
We'll
they're
see.
not. I don't think they're
They'd have
beating
to
the
make
Thun-
it.
I don't think they're beating the Thunder.
Okay. Yeah. We don't have to talk about that series too
yeah.
much.
Next matchup.
Should be East, right?
Yep, might be another sweep. Magic Celtics.
I would bet on a sweep. I think this. That personally, okay. I'm gonna get a little. These games that the Hawks lost were flukes. I don't care. This is stupid. I don't think Cole Anthony's averaging 25 points per game in a series.
I don't think the Magic are putting up 120 points a game in one game against the Celtics.
And that is the Hawks defense being bad, but also yeah, the Celtics defense is amazing, and they just haven't been a good offense all year.
I'm gonna say something crazy. I don't know if the Magic break 100 in this series. I actually don't know.
I just don't.
Like, they're a bad offense, Scorpion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And honestly, the Celtics match up pretty. The only thing I could see is Jaylen Brown has had some like issues, I think, with his knee.
Yeah.
Where he's actually had to take like some shots or whatever, like to make sure he's fine for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, if you're the Celtics, you might sacrifice losing one game to just make sure Jaylen Brown's all right. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. If he is, so I think if he's not that bad, like if the injury isn't that bad, then he'll play fine. But if it is that bad, just sit him one of the games.
Yeah.
I also you might not need him.
Yeah.
to win a game. So, but overall, the Celtics also just match up so well. Like, okay, yeah, Magic Apollo. The Celtics have Tatum to guard him, and Tatum, Apollo cannot guard Tatum.
Yeah.
Oh, you have Franz.
Look.
We have Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
You have Suggs. You don't have Suggs.
Yeah. You don't.
You literally don't have Suggs, and then we have Drew Holiday and Derek White.
Whatever.
And
Sit down, Jaylen Brown, Pritchard from downtown. Celtics in 5.
we got it right there.
Yeah.
What was the last West series? Oh no, it's another East.
So it's another East series. It's Cavs Heat.
I don't even want to talk about like it's Cavs and
Cavs in 4.
Cavs and 4.
So we actually, dude, it's so funny how much the series, like, you're like, damn, these playoffs are really good. And then we get to like the upper like match, and there's one obviously that we're gonna talk about last. But dude, the 1-8 matchups should be blowouts.
Yeah.
Like
I do think that like the Cavs, when it comes to a technical point of attack defender, besides maybe like Strus isn't like Strus is that for them, but like
Yeah.
he shouldn't be. A Coro, yeah, but how much will he play? They don't need that though because the Heat don't actually have many shooters. Like
Yeah.
they could really like Tyler Hero could just press up on you, or sorry, Mitchell could just press up on Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Let him kick it out to Haywood Highsmith. Let him kick it out to Kyle Anderson.
Dude.
Oh, except Kyle Anderson makes the craziest. Like, you know what's funny? This dude has the slowest release in the entire league, but when he's chucking something up, he just chucks it up within 0.2 seconds and it just goes in. Like, did you see those 2 shots they made back to back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Yeah.
Never did that.
It's also hate. Also, by the way, Hunter. In that series, Hawks versus Heat a couple years ago, when the Heat just embarrassed the Hawks, the only good player for the Hawks was DeAndre Hunter. This dude is really good against the Heat.
He's gonna get it.
I hope it's a sweep, man. Hunter, sweep these guys, dude. Gosh.
Yeah, dude. There's not much to it. If you want to look into it deeper, the Cavs just basically negate everything that the Heat do well, like Mobley and Allen against Bam and Ware. Davion Mitchell can only guard one of like Donovan Mitchell and Garland, so one of those guys is gonna have Tyler Hero on them.
Yeah.
And then you got Hunter on Wiggins. They just negate everything that the Heat could do well.
And
in
the
that
Cavs
series.
still have Ty Jerome. They still have, yeah.
All right, let's
Easy.
move on.
Last series,
Last series of the first round.
one of the most interesting ones.
One of the most interesting ones. I want to hear your prediction for it first. Rockets Warriors.
Everything that I've said so far, I believed in the whole ideology. However, this is a series where I am taking the star power, and it's mostly just because. I'm taking the Warriors in 6, and it's because we just haven't seen any of the Rockets. Like, we've seen the Pacers go far in the playoffs. We've seen the Wolves go far. We haven't seen anything from the Rockets, and as good as they've been in the regular season, and as good as they match up versus the Warriors, it's like I'm taking the experience because they have 2 playoff risers in Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. And that's really all you need. And you have Draymond Green, who his impact on the playoffs, even if he takes some stupid shots.
Yeah.
And then just the Rockets, yeah, like even the vets on the Rockets, Dylan Brooks has not been known. He's not known to be a guy who elevates in the playoffs for sure.
And you're not expecting him to be, I guess.
And you're not. And I just don't know how good Amen Thompson's going to be in his first playoff series. I'm not expecting too much. Jalen Green is a 50-50. He'll either be amazing, and that would be the reason the Rockets win, is if Jalen Green is amazing, or he will be flat out terrible. There's no way he's mid.
Or Şengün, like.
And then that is like the one huge advantage they have is but the Warriors have versatility.
Yeah.
They've been starting this small ball thing of Draymond at the 5 like they've been doing for years, but they can go to Looney or Trace Jackson Davis whenever they want. They can pick shooters off the bench in Buddy Hield. They can pick non-shooters in Gary Payton.
Looney, sure, but I don't think they'll play Trace Jackson Davis for whatever reason. He hasn't been played, so.
But they had the option.
That. Yeah, I mean they do.
They have the option of Kuminga. They have the option of no Kuminga. Like they have versatility as well as the Rockets. Even though the Rockets have a little bit more, but they have the star power that the Rockets cannot compete with.
What do you have the Warriors winning in?
I think 6. They'll win in Golden State in 6. What do you have?
I got it. Warriors in 6 too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
If you wanna delve a little deeper into it, here's what I'll look at, and here's what I'll give the Rockets credit for. They have the perfect roster in a lot of ways to guard Steph. They have 3 guys between Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, and Fred VanVleet that all can guard Steph in slightly different ways, be physical with him, run around screens with him, especially Amen can like definitely keep up with him.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they have this methodology where they'll switch those guys on, like that's what they did in their last regular season game. They basically just switched the matchup frequently so that the other guy could get rest and not be running around with Steph. So they always had a fresh defender on Steph. I think that could really make it difficult for him. It's Steph Curry. He's going to do what he's going to do. But, we know that you can make it difficult for him, and that can affect his game, which is why Jimmy Butler is really going to be the X factor in this series, and I just am betting on him to be, especially after, his performance in the play-in game. I really do think Jimmy is going to have a great series, and I think once he has like a couple games where he really goes off, the Rockets have to shift their defensive focus, and then that's going to open things up for Steph.
And man, the more you talk about it, the more like I am thinking there is definitely a way the Rockets win this series.
Yeah.
Like even though I have the Warriors in 6, like yes, you can always rest. I'm just trying to. They have Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, all these guys. They have guys that guard Jimmy as well. Like, and that's what's scary if I'm a Warriors fan. Also, the Rockets are like the number 1 team in the league in offensive rebounds, which the Warriors are a great like overall rebounding team. Like it feels like 1 through 5, they're all able to rebound.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like a specific guy, like who's just gonna get the board.
Looney.
Looney, but like how much? Like ideally, Draymond's playing the 5 most of the time, right? Like,
Ideally, yeah, but I could see them playing Looney like 25 minutes a game.
Yeah.
If you get to like game 3 and you're struggling with rebounds.
no, for sure. And I think it'll be fun watching the Steven Adams Sengun duo.
Oh, yeah.
play like that'll be fun.
It was really interesting watching them play, especially against the like small ball Warriors. Here's the thing though, they actually struggled against the Warriors when they went small. Like when the Warriors ran Draymond at the 5 and had Steven Adams and the Rockets had Steven Adams and Şengün'ün, the Rockets were actually struggling to get good looks on offense against that small ball lineup.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, Steven Adams is not like an offensive threat in the way that Şengün is.
yeah.
So like you can put a smaller defender on him and theoretically get away with it.
I still don't think that, like when it comes to half court offense, because if the one way the Rockets can also beat the Warriors is just fast breaks. I think, yeah, the Rockets are one of the best fast break teams. I think the Warriors, it's either they let it happen or something. Like there was some stat about it.
Yeah.
You would think though that like because like when they ran Sengun and Adams,
Mm-hmm.
because you were watching the game, was Sengun posting up the other guy?
So
Or no?
Şengün was mostly sitting free throw line and like he would post guys up sometimes, but mostly it was like a pick and roll at the top of the key and then you would catch it at like the free throw line or something.
Yeah.
And then try to play make from there.
So I wonder if that changes because a lot of times when I watch the Rockets do that, they do have Sengun posting up with like on one side and then Adams on the other side, just on
Yeah.
the block waiting for the rebound or waiting for like the lob or something.
Mm-hmm.
So when the game slows down, like yes, you don't want to bet on the Rockets half court offense, but
Yeah.
that might be one part of the half court offense that you would bet on.
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe they were feeling a little sped up, and that's why just overall they just don't have the experience. Like they might play sped up.
Yeah. Who's
in
going to
series.
slow the game down? Is it going to be
It has to be Fred. Like there's
Yeah,
no other player.
It has to be, right? And
You can't rely on Amen Thompson's second year to slow the game down.
I think that's the big thing I look at too is they don't have like a point guard in the true sense. Like Fred is a point guard, like he plays point guard, but he's more of a shooting guard in his play style.
Yeah.
That was like the role he was always the best in when he was in Toronto.
Yeah.
So not having like a true point guard in the playoffs could hurt you. They do have Şengün, right? So
Right.
that it's their playmaker. And it just will be interesting to see how he fills that role. It'll also be interesting to see if Kuminga plays at all. That whole thing's been very interesting to watch progress. I think this is the series where you could play him.
Do you want to play into the Rockets game? Because the Rockets have so many big long wings that like if you want to match that, then you go Kuminga. But if you don't and you just want to go like shooting, then you go Buddy Hield. If you want
Yeah, but it's like,
even but like would you rather have Gary Payton also? Like I might
I'd
rather have
rather
Gary
have
Payton.
I'd rather have Gary Payton in the game.
Yeah.
But Buddy Hield is the kind of guy you kind of have to play because you'd never know what he's going to give you. So it's like you have to put him in there for 15 minutes just to see if he's going to knock down like 5 threes or he's going to go 0 for 7.
Yeah, I say give him like 5 minutes. If he doesn't make a couple threes within that, like he's either really off like he was last
Yeah.
year, or last year that very last game, or maybe it was the second last game. He had like 25 points off the bench.
Yeah.
In like 15 minutes, I swear. So
Dude, you just have to like time it right with him. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
I
But-
mean, it's really most of these series, when it comes to a 7-game series, it's not as much luck, but just overall game by game, like you're either hitting your shots or you're not, and it's just how you adjust to that.
yeah.
I would just rather bet on the tenure of winning that the Warriors have
It's
versus.
it's a make or miss league.
Even though I will say the Rockets have that coaching advantage. I love Ime. Like I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
know Kerr has like
Strategically, they have the coaching advantage, right?
yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a fun series. I think it'll be a really like fast, up and down, high paced series. Really, at the end of the day, I'm just betting on Jimmy Butler to have a good series, and I think that really sways things in the Warriors' direction.
Same.
If this was the Warriors team before they traded for Jimmy,
No,
I think the Rockets win this series easily.
like in 5, yeah.
But now that you have another guy, it just makes so much of an impact, especially if he's playoff Jimmy, if he's putting up 28, 29 points a game, or like has a couple like 30 like 5-point games to start the series, then all of a sudden like, okay, Houston has to pay attention to him.
Yeah. Also, Steph owns the Rockets historically.
He
Like,
does.
that's
I
what
mean,
it is.
I mean, yeah.
Sometimes it's those small things you got to bet on.
I don't know. It's tough for me to say like Steph owns the Rockets because when he did beat the Rockets, he did have Kevin Durant on his team.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I guess there was that one year where Kevin Durant was hurt and they beat the Rockets and then they beat Portland.
Yeah, like a couple more threes made in that game where they
Yeah.
missed 20 threes in a row, and
Like-
then maybe the whole
Like the Rockets, I feel like when you look back on it, had the Warriors number more than the Warriors had the Rockets number. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the Rockets. This is gonna sound stupid. The Rockets played the Warriors. What the fuck was that?
you leveled up in a game or something.
Guess so, dude. It was a good take. The Rockets played the Warriors better than the Warriors played the Rockets, even though the Warriors won those series because they had more talent.
That's not crazy to say, I guess. James Harden, like sometimes I look back. I know like everyone rooted against the Warriors, so like I'm only gonna see things that are against the Warriors. But like you look back at some of those non-calls that James Harden got on 3-pointers, and it's like sometimes the refs really just hate you. Like,
Yeah,
but I also feel that with Steph, like it's not like it's just like the
but-
Warriors. The refs love the Warriors because like as of recently, like Steph does not get very many calls. But
and that's the thing. Steph will get calls, but he also gets them on the ground a lot of the time.
yeah,
and I feel like-
and he'll be in the shooting motion.
Yeah.
But honestly, that is a lot of guards. Like for some
Yeah.
reason, Trey's kind of gets it the same way. Like refs love just, even though you're in the shooting motion, and I get it. It's more entertaining. Like you don't want the whole game to be free throws.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
sometimes they go away from the
That
actual
is-
rule book.
that is the thing about being the type of guy who tries to draw fouls and tries to like get to the free throw line is in the playoffs. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt as much for the most part, especially beyond the first round, because and it is so weird that they do this, that they just changed the way they officiate in the playoffs. I've always thought that's weird. I'm like, why would you not just be consistent about that through the season?
Yeah.
What benefit does it serve you to do that?
Because the rules don't change.
Yeah. They just choose to officiate the games differently. And you know that's the NBA telling them to do that because it's such a league-wide trend.
But isn't that kind of weird? Like if that's the case and it's not as entertaining, they want the playoffs to be as entertaining as possible. Why don't they just change the rules?
To make it more entertaining?
Yeah, throughout the
overall?
regular season.
Yeah. I don't know. Because it's just, and they wouldn't even have to change the rules. Just officiate the games in the same way you do in the playoffs, and then you have no problem. But it's, I don't know, dude. The NBA,
Maybe it's Pistons in 7 because they're just so much more physical.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
Just gonna stop getting calls.
anytime you're relying on a factor outside of your own shot making to score in the playoffs is when things get a little bit dicey. You know, like I get it. You can be like, that foul should have been called. But also if you're actively trying to get foul calls, I don't feel sympathy for you because
Yeah.
it's like, try to score the ball. If you get fouled trying to score the ball like guys like LeBron do, and you don't get it called, then you have a right to complain. But if you're getting fouled because you're trying to get fouled and you don't get it called, that's just, your game isn't working,
Yeah.
you know?
Guys like Shea, Trey, Harden.
And I don't think Shea will have that problem in the playoffs because he's such a good overall shooter and he's such
Yeah.
a good offensive weapon.
Shea was
but-
great last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Actually. Like
I think
he
he'll be
elevated. Well, the thing is, he didn't really elevate, but he was really good last year in the regular season. He kind of just did the same thing. It's just guys
Yeah.
like Chet and J Dub,
Yeah.
which I think they've gotten better this year. They have a whole nother year of experience. So by the way, we're not doing the rest of the rounds, but I do have the Thunder as champions. Like that's my prediction.
Yep.
Just to kind of say here now, it's a boring pick, but it's the right pick.
Yep.
I actually don't think it's really close.
It's
So
it's boring, it's lame, it's simple, and it's also my pick. Like,
I also believe I had the Celtics last year before it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I did, and it was the right pick. So
listen,
I'm
the
happy.
lame pick has a tendency to be right.
But only as of recently, because honestly, no one picked the Nuggets in 23. No one picked the Warriors in 22.
No one picked the Nuggets in 23.
No.
I thought they were. I mean, obviously saying that in retrospect, so there's no way to like validate that information. But I thought they were gonna win because I was like, they're so due. Jamal Murray's finally healthy. MP, I know, due factor, whatever.
No, you can't slander me for due factor, and all of a sudden they're just due, huh?
Anyway, no, they had like Jamal Murray was finally healthy. They finally had a healthy team, and it was like everyone had been saying like for the years leading up, like, oh, if this team gets healthy with Jokic, if they finally get healthy, and then they just like basically steamrolled
Yeah.
everybody in the playoffs.
I don't know. I feel like if you looked at Vegas and like just the general public, like they were probably 5th or 6th or something, because like they were the 3rd seed that year.
Cordy, that's why you don't listen to Vegas, because Vegas wants you to lose your money.
But Vegas knows what people are thinking.
Go off of your own intuition, Corby. That's how you win money. That's how you beat Vegas.
You did not have the Nuggets. There's no way you did.
I remember thinking the Nuggets were going to win the championship that year.
I mean, you could always think it, but like
I didn't make an ESPN bracket, I guess, but I remember thinking they were going to win the championship, like at the beginning of the playoffs.
Wait, we might have made brackets. I think we did. All right, those were our predictions. Let us know your predictions in the comments, even though by the time this comes out, game ones will have already happened. But you know what? Game one's just game one.
Yeah.
Honestly,
One team's got to win.
yeah. Well, true. But that really shouldn't. Game one should never really determine the outcome of a series, even though, you know what, it can though for Pacers Bucks. I actually feel like winner of game one wins Pacers Bucks.
When the Heat win game one against the Cavs.
Never mind. No, I don't like that. I don't like the logic anymore. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment. What do you guys want to see next? And peace.
See ya.